My name is Eric Vernelon. I'm a dairy farmer from Frederick, Oklahoma. My family moved here in 2001. We started milking 1,500 cows here in Oklahoma. Now we're here in 2020, 19 years later, and we're milking 4,000 cows with another dairy that's milking 1,500 cows. We use a double 40 parallel milking barn here, and at our other facility we use a double 24 parallel barn. One of the advantages of having a parallel barn over a herringbone system is you have a faster exiting system, so that way you can milk more cows per hour. At the time whenever we built the barn, it was a much cheaper option than building a rotary system, which is in constant movement and moving in a circle. And so being able to move a larger number of animals and have a cost affordable option was why we built that system. Although in the future we would look into building a rotary or moving to a robotic monobox style system. We aren't contracted with anybody to buy our milk. We're a part of a dairy cooperative, and they work with processors and manufacturers, and they have the contracts and deals in place to say where our milk goes. And currently our milk is going to fluid production at Highland and Chandler, Oklahoma, and Norman, Oklahoma, and there's currently also milk going to the Blue Bell plant in Broken Arrow. We are 100% AI. That's just because we don't want to have bulls around on the dairy. They are a liability whenever you're working around them with people. And so we want to avoid having any accidents with the animals or with the people. On our milking cows, we use conventional semen. That's because we have a lower pregnancy rate with the cows because they are milking. And so a lot of their energy goes into producing milk rather than just growth and reproduction. Whereas on our heifers, we will use sex semen for the first two services. After the first two services, we will go back to conventional semen. A little bit of background on our breeding philosophy is that we want to breed for healthy cows and slightly smaller cows. We believe that if we breed for healthy cows, they will live a lot longer, and a smaller cow is a lot easier to manage as well whenever issues do arise. Our calves that are not kept as replacement heifers, we sell them either to a heifer grower or a bull grower. They'll raise them out to around 400 or 500 pounds and then sell them to feedlots to go into the beef industry. On our dairy, a typical cow stays in production for 3 to 4 lactations. I would say it's in the hiring and the management of our employees. It's about finding good qualified candidates to work with our animals, because we don't want to just have anybody working with them. We want to have somebody that will be responsible about them and care for them in the way that we do. And being able to manage those people and put them in opportunities where they can succeed the best. Yes, it has. It's had a major effect, especially in the beginning. During the first weeks, everybody was going to the stores and panic buying all the milk to put into their freezers. So we were having trouble keeping up with demand to have bottled milk on the shelves in all the grocery stores. People were getting upset that they couldn't buy milk. Then all of a sudden, we figured out, hey, we have all this milk at home. We don't need to buy anymore. At the same time, all the restaurants are shutting down. About half of our milk goes into the food service industry. For the food service industry, you're going to have 10-pound uh, totes of sour cream, 50-pound bags of shredded cheese. You and I, we're not going to buy 10 pounds of sour cream or 50 pounds of shredded cheese. Those lines at the processing plants cannot be changed to go into retail. And so you have half your production system shut down, and you have a large excess of milk that needs to be processed. So we were seeing, especially in the Northeast part of the country and the Midwest, milk being dumped, which had a negative effect on our milk price. Some of the biosecurity measures that we take to ensure animal health on our farm, we're a 100% closed herd. We do not buy any animals to bring in here, so we know exactly what kind of animals we have. We know where they were born, where they went. You know, they are born within a mile of where they live, so they never go anywhere. Anybody that is a non-employee, they wash their hands, they put on plastic boots, and they do not go into animal pens, so that way if they were exposed to something on another farm, they aren't bringing anything in over here. We call it a total mixed ration, or TMR. And so what that ration does is gives enough energy for the cow to maintain her body condition and able to gain a little bit of body condition, while also able to produce large amounts of milk with a good amount of butter fat and protein. In that ration, we have alfalfa hay, corn silage, beet pulp pellets, ground corn, cottonseed, a mineral package, and soybean meal. Currently, we produce about 60% of our hay ourselves. We have a large farming crew with the necessary equipment to produce our hay. Then another 20% of our hay we buy here in Oklahoma, and then the remaining 20% we buy from farmers in Colorado. It's higher quality hay over there, and there's more hay out there. Out here on the west side of the state, we don't exactly have a ton of alfalfa hay producers anymore. Each cow, from start to finish, will take about 5 to 8 minutes to finish milking. 95% of our herd are Holstein cows, with the remaining 5% being some brown Swiss and milking shorthorns. The brown Swiss and the milking shorthorns, those are just animals we happen to show, and we've kept them throughout the years, and they've started to populate the herd a little more. I'd say the biggest misconception is that we are out of touch with what the consumer is wanting and what they are asking. I feel like we do a pretty good job of figuring out what they want and trying to take steps towards meeting those demands of what the consumers want. Currently, we milk our cows 2.5 times a day. So what that means is in a 48-hour period, every cow will be milked 5 times. The reason we do it that way is that we have a 9.5-hour milking schedule, and so every 9.5 hours, the first pen will be milked again. It's a compromise between twice a day milking and 3 times a day milking. 3 times a day, you're really pushing your animals, people, and your equipment hard to get the job all done, where 2 times a day you don't get quite the milk production, so 2.5 times you have a good compromise in being able to get everything done but still get good milk production. Number one factor that impacts milk production, in my opinion, is dry matter intake. And what dry matter intake means is how many pounds of dry feed is that cow able to eat in a day. So during cooler weather, whenever it's 40, 50 degrees, that's the ideal weather for a dairy cow. And so she's going to be really hungry and wanting to eat a lot. And so whenever she eats a lot, she's going to produce a lot of milk. During the summertime, your dry matter intake drops because it's hotter and she doesn't want to eat as much. And so you have a result in lower milk production. Every time a pen of cows goes to be milked, the person picking up the cows cleans the beds out, and then another person drives with the vacuum tank on a tractor and sucks all the manure and water out of the pens. I'd say the main thing that I wish I would have known a little bit more is managing people. It's whenever you're in charge, it's not always about being the one doing everything. It's about recognizing people's strengths and weaknesses and being able to put them in a place where they're going to do the best job for you.